The Al-Jama-Ah political party is calling on government to grant the former president, Jacob Zuma, amnesty. The party's leader has written a letter to the Justice Minister Ronald Lamola seeking a presidential pardon for Zuma. The Constitutional Court found Zuma guilty of contempt and sentenced him to 15 months in prison for refusing to appear at the state capture inquiry. The Apex Court has, however, said it would hear Zuma's application to rescind its ruling. Al-Jama-Ah President Ganief Hendricks says the decision to jail Zuma is wrong. He joins us now here on the Midday View to tell us why he believes that decision by the court was wrong. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Why have you said it's wrong for the Constitutional Court to have decided to sentence the former president to 15 months in jail for contempt of court?
Thank you very much. Look, we don't have a quarrel with the jurisdiction and the findings of the Constitutional Court. We respect it. However, we differ with regard to the sentencing. We are guided by the Al-Jama-Ahs. We embrace Ubuntu. We embrace Islamic values. And we are guided by that. And you don't send a 79-year-old to imprison. You look at alternative options to imprisonment. And that is best addressed when, in this case, former President Zuma is given an opportunity to put forward mitigating circumstances. So we feel that the Constitutional Court could have done things differently. We are not saying the Constitutional Court is wrong. We are saying they could have done it differently, that after they found President Zuma guilty, they should have sent what we call directions from the registrar to say, former President Zuma, you have been found guilty, and that we now give you an opportunity to put forward mitigating circumstances.
But they did now, earlier, didn't they? Didn't they invite him?
No,
didn't they invite him to come to court earlier and state his case, and then he just wrote a long affidavit?
Now you must understand, I'm also a former union secretary. I've been involved in hundreds of cases in the corporate world and in the union world with regard to mitigating circumstances. You don't ask a person for mitigating circumstances before you have found him guilty. So they
were wrong. So the Constitutional Court was wrong, in your view, to have done so before?
I think they could have done it differently. They should have used best practices. The Constitutional Court, they were angry. They're entitled to be angry. And they missed the point that you can't ask a person, just in case we find you guilty, what should your sentence be? And then ask him to give mitigating circumstances. So the Constitutional Court, that could be one of the reasons why the Constitutional Court has agreed to hear President Zuma again. But we, Al-Jama-Ah, feels that the Constitutional Court will stick to its guns. And that's why we feel that in the spirit of Ubuntu, in the spirit of Islamic values, we feel that the Constitutional Court should look at alternatives to imprisonment. Well, they didn't do that.
What could those be? You've written to the Minister of Justice asking for amnesty for him to be pardoned. What did you ask for? What did you ask for?
We are following the rule of law, and the rule of law says that once the Apex Court has made a decision, there's nothing left to do. We then research. I'm a member of Parliament. I'm a member of the Portfolio Committee on Justice and Prisons. We then looked at now, is there any other way that we can address this matter without breaking the rule of law? The only option was to ask for a pardon, but we can't ask the President for a pardon. We have to write to the Minister of Justice, which we did, and explain a position and conditions of pardon, which in our case is very strict. It is up to the Minister of Justice now to make a submission to the President, taking into account what we've said, what has been happening, all this drama around the Constitutional Court. The advantage that the Minister of Justice has is that President Zuma has gone on the record to give mitigating circumstances. He says, I am 79 years old. I am very sickly. I feel that I will die if I go to prison. So surely the minister will now look at whether that's a frivolous position, whether they will take it into account. They will make a submission to the president. The president will apply his mind. The rule of law says that only he can give a pardon. So once he receives the submission, he will look at it and he will say, look, Al-Jama-Ah, thank you very much. Or the minister may say the same. We've taken into account. We do not see a way forward to give President Zuma a pardon. And then we rest our case.
Okay, no, it's very clear what you've done. You're reaching to the Minister of Justice, asking for a presidential pardon, and all those things need to be considered. Are you on your own as Al-Jama-Ah in this request, in this submission to the Minister of Justice, where you're requesting a presidential pardon for Mr. Zuma?
Look, we consulted our religious leaders, especially our black Zulu Maulanas and Alims, like Maulana Abbas and Kish. They feel that our position is too moderate, which we like. You know, we didn't take an extremist view. We took a very moderate position, respecting the rule of law and giving the minister an opportunity to use his department to prepare a submission, and for the president to look at it. That is what is possible. That is what's allowed. I can't see how any South African can have a quarrel with that.
I don't think we're having a quarrel with that. We're trying to understand why you've taken that position and what's going to happen now. Now, two questions I have for you as we're concluding, Mr. Hendricks. One is, you said earlier you are convinced or you believe that the Constitutional Court will stick to its guns come Monday when they hear the president again. Hence, you're going this route of the presidential pardon. I wonder why you think they'll stick to their guns. Finally, have you had any response yet at all in any shape or form from the Ministry of Justice to your letter requesting presidential pardon?
Look, the Apex Court has made a decision. You know, it will be very unusual if they change their position. The only possibility is if they feel that, you know, they should have given him an opportunity to give mitigating circumstances after he was found guilty. That is an issue which is unprecedented. You know, we don't know. We're not legal eagles. We'll have to be guided by the Constitutional Court. But in Al-Jama-Ah's view, it is that the Constitutional Court is an apex court. They've made their decision. There is now nothing left to do. The only way, only road open is to approach the president for a pardon, which we did. We have written to the minister, and we did a double whammy. We also, in case the Minister of Justice drags his feet on this matter, we've also written a written parliamentary question to the minister, and by law, he is required to respond within 2 weeks. If not, we can complain to the Speaker if there is any delay. So we expect an answer at least within two weeks' time. And so that is where we are. And we will respect the decision of the President. And that will, for us, for Al-Jama-Ah, will be the end of the matter. And we feel that that is a very moderate position. It's a position in terms of Ubuntu, in terms of our Islamic values, that you must look for alternatives to imprisonment for an elderly person. And that's all that we did.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ganief Hendricks, explaining your position very, very clearly. We'll have to wait and see, Mr. Hendricks, what's going to happen in the next week or so.